Canoo stock, ticker symbol GOEV, is down 97% off its highs in recent years, which has a lot of investors asking what's going on with Canoo stock. So in this brief video, I was going to provide some overview into what's going on with Canoo stock. So let's get right into it. Starting with the new CEO, which was talking about the settlement the company reached with the SEC, and we continue to wait for the final approval of the settlement by the commission, which we hope to see coming in the coming quarter. We understand that the investigation of the former senior executives remain ongoing. So this is great news that the company is putting behind these investigations behind it. Hopefully that final approval will come in the current quarter and the company can move on from this investigation. So looking longer term, medium to long term demand for zero emission EVs, tech-driven vehicles, will continue to grow rapidly, and that's true for many economies across the world, right? Governments are trying to promote incentives for companies to adopt and produce EVs, and they're giving out incentives both not only on the consumer side but also on the enterprise side, and that's going to drive zero emission technology forward for the next decade, probably 2 to 3 decades. And so that's great news for Canoo stock investors. So the company is focused on where there is current demand and high volume buyers, right? They're not focused on niche markets and they're not focused on small markets. They're focused on high volume buyers, and that's good news. That's a good area to start with because that allows you to reach scale more quickly and therefore allow you to get on a more sustainable path, generate positive cash flow, and thereby you can invest and grow from there instead of going into markets where you have small demand, small volume, which requires you to keep dumping in more capital, which makes it harder to expand because you keep having to go and raise money, which becomes harder and harder to come by. So Canoo's strategy is to deliver a high return on capital platform, starting with commercial customers who order in volume and across multi-year cycles. That's really important, is when you make deals with commercial customers, you get orders, and those orders can spread out through multi-year cycles. And that's helpful for a number of reasons. Number one, as a business, you can forecast more accurately what your demand is going to be. Number two, when you've got those orders secured, for example, Canoo has an order with Walmart for several thousand vehicles, you can then raise capital more easily because when you go to banks, you can show the banks, hey, look, we have this deal with Walmart. The demand is already there. There's a pre-order. All we need to do is make the car and deliver it, and we make the sale, which makes it easier to raise capital compared to if you're just trying to make this car that you're designing for the mass market and you're hoping that consumers like the style, like the car, and buy it. That's a lot less secure, and banks are less willing to lend to EV companies that are trying to do that because as we're starting to notice, even with the companies that show pre-orders, right, those pre-orders are easy to cancel. Customers were able to lock in pre-orders with like $100 deposit. And then when it came time to actually buy the car, they were saying, you know what, no thank you. And so banks and lenders know that, and they were less willing to lend to companies. Whereas now that GOEV is taking the reverse approach where they're focusing on commercial buyers with locking in existing orders, even though they haven't even really ramped up production, it makes it easier for Canoo to raise capital. So I like their strategy. I like their long-term focus here in commercial buyers first, and I like that they're securing sales, securing orders before going out and ramping up production. I like all of that, but they've still got to execute, and it's been taking a long time, and the slow execution is partly the reason why the stock price is down so much, along with investigations and all of the other trouble, and a market that's become less willing to invest in speculative growth stocks, all have contributed to the huge stock price decline in Canoo. All right, but I hope this video has shed some light into what's going on with Canoo stock. I've got more videos coming out on Canoo, so if you'd like to see more content like that, feel free to subscribe or check back in later on. You'll see some new videos coming out every couple of days or so. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope I'll see you soon. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.